This is the Slow Wardrobe. Come and have a look. Hello, welcome to episode 90, can't believe it, of the Slow Wardrobe podcast. My name is Linda and I'm your host. In this episode, I will update you on where I am with my knitting and crochet antics. I then have put in a short demo at request of a dear customer for a linen stitch, how to knit a linen stitch. And then we're into Layercake, where I show how to style the current pre-order of new colors of baggies in both of the different linen weights, as well as the linen herringbone. So I'll put a timestamp down below here. If you're not interested in the knitting segment, I'll show you here where the Layercake bit starts. But for those of you who will want to see about what I'm doing in terms of knitting and crochet, here we go with the knitting segment first. So again, as requested, I am wearing the little cardigan that I knitted. Didn't knit it to an existing pattern. I used more or less standard calculation for the yoke, although I did have to reknit the second part of the yoke because I increased too fast. But I'm super pleased with this little cardigan. I've been wearing it loads, and I'll stand up. Hopefully you'll be able to see it on me. I don't know if my head now disappears, so bear with me if it does. At least you can see how the cardigan fits. I'm really pleased with it. I'm wearing it with an undyed smock and a pair of the baggies in the turmeric color, because of course it's that nice rich yellow color that echoes the chartreuse in the cardigan. So yeah, there it is, worn. The positive ease makes sure that it kind of stays clear of my hips and gives me a little bit of flow and a nice little flip at the bottom with the little bobbles. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it. So hopefully you were able to see that. If not, I'll have to redo this whole segment. But I showed you that first because that is my, of course, one of my finished objects. And I thought I'll go through the finished ones first. Second one is a next pair of socks that I just finished yesterday evening for my husband. You may remember from a couple of episodes ago that I finished a pair that I already had on the needles. It's this Q pattern, which is a free pattern on knitty.com. And for some reason, these came out too tight and they don't fit him. So I'm going to give them to our daughter. Probably have to reknit the front section because her feet are smaller, but they're for her. I then knitted him another pair, which I've already shown as well before. Again in the same skew pattern, and because it's his favorite pattern and favorite shape for socks, I've knitted him another pair. So this was a koigu yarn. I don't think I've brought the color number. If I get my hands on it on time, I'll let you know. But it was some yarn that I had left over from when I used to sell koigu, KPPPM, and this is one sock, obviously the left sock on the sock blocker, and you can see a little bit here that you've got that strange little point here because of the asymmetric toe shape. This is the right hand sock. You can see the toe shape. You start in one corner, and then because you are knitting on the bias, you create that shape by increasing more on one side and less on the other. And then you knit in a very ingeniously shaped heel, which you can see a little bit here. It actually has a grafted section, this heel, in it. And again, that you do that in, you knit that in mirror image for the opposite sock. It's all well explained on the pattern. And then again, you have a bias section going up, and the bias sections are separated throughout with a 4-stitch band of regular stocking stitch, as you can see at both sides. So this is the right sock, and he wanted to grab them straight away when I cast off yesterday evening. He's like, no, they need to go onto the podcast. You'll get them tomorrow. So just in time for Easter, he'll have another pair of new socks. So that's my other finished object. I am working away and forgot to bring it on the knitted version of the phone pouch, the little linen phone pouch that is a crochet pattern. Ooh. As you may remember, whoa, bad preparation here. I should have grabbed these before I started recording. But here is a crocheted version of the phone pouch, the linen pouch, and it's lined with a contrasting color of linen fabric. And there will now be a knitted version of this as well, in knitted in linen stitch. Finally, I was over-engineering it, so I started from scratch, but it's on its way, and I will shout as soon as the pattern is ready for release for those of you who don't crochet. Meanwhile, I received some yarns in a new gradient that I could not wait but play with. And I was on a train journey to London a couple of weeks ago and wanted something that I could literally just pop in my pocket. So I grabbed one of the new gradient sets and started crocheting another phone pouch, which you can see here in terms of its progress, that ever so slight trapezium shape. And I'm on to the 4th color of the first half of, well, this is one of the gradients of 4. And then there's another gradient of 4 that starts with this light eau de Nil and then goes up. So you'll see that as and when I get ready. I'm going to launch that when I launch the fabric as well. But I'm working away behind the scenes on a phone pouch in the right colors. So that's my only other work in progress at the moment, because I was working on the socks. And of course, I still have my cashmere and yak blend jumper that I haven't finished yet. And maybe I'll go back to that next to finish that, because I don't have that much left. So it's pathetic that I haven't finished it. And it's not really like me to be like this. I tend to be quite methodical and quite well in finishing my projects, but not this time. And it's partially because I was distracted by the fact that I found out that the yarn that this little cardigan is knitted in, which is called Malabrigo Finito, it is a 4-ply yarn that actually has quite a similar yardage to my Yak Blend 2. So this could very easily be replicated in Yak Blend 2. But of course the grass is always greener on the other side. I found out this was discontinued, so I've been scouring the web to see if I can get some more bits and bobs of it, and I've managed to buy some more colors, but all in small quantities. So I'm just going to show them to you. I don't know how I'm going to work with them yet. I have different quantities in different colors, and it's going to be probably another stripy number, or maybe little blocks. I don't know yet. But I have to work out something clever because of the small quantities that I have in each color. So the colors that I managed to find was a couple of more of the red, which I adore. It's a color called Cereza, cherry color, obviously. And here we are. I managed to get another 2 little hanks, 50-gram hanks of this color, which is Mostaza. And of course, I have really good equivalents of these colors in my Yak Blend 2. So whatever I'm going to do with this, I'll probably be able to replicate that as a pattern in Yak Blend 2. So The idea at the moment, I've already had thumbs up from some people when I said, do you think this should be a pattern? They said, yes, please. So I'll be working on that because I'm doing so many other things and I'm so busy with Layercake as well. There just aren't enough hours in the day, so I make very slow progress on these knit designs, and I do apologize for that. But I will battle away behind the scenes on those to bring them to fruition. Meanwhile, these are the colors that I've got. I've got 2 hanks of this color called Teal Feather, 2 hanks of the Red Cereza, 2 hanks of Mostaza, mustard color, 3 of a color called Cello, a speckled one, and 5 hanks of a color called Piedras. I think it's a color that, these are colors that they do across all their different yarns, so there's nothing unique about the colorways, it's just the yarn itself that seems to have been discontinued. And I believe that it would be possible to do something if I get my ratios right with all of these colors. Of course, it's very clear that the Cello has quite a lot of the teal in it, but it also has red and it also have tiny flecks of the mustard color, so they really go together. But then, of course, there are blends of those colors in this Piedras as well. Especially the mustard, but then you also see bits of the red. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I think I need to do a bit of knitting in this color to see what the knitted fabric looks like, because it's such a multicolor, and how it ends up translating. But I thought I'd show you how the project starts right from the conception of it, because this is all I have and it's a bit hit and miss as to how these colors came together. That's purely because those were the colors that I was able to find online within the UK. So I'll see what I do with it and I will report back. And of course, like I said, if these colors are not already there exactly, I can easily replicate them in Yak Blend 2, and then we can do a Yak Blend 2 version of this cardi as well. So fingers crossed, and I will keep you posted in these episodes. So trying to make the podcast a reasonable length. This is where I'll stop with my knitting and crochet update. Next section is a demonstration of how to knit the linen stitch prior to the linen phone pouch coming through in a knitted version. And hopefully you'll find that useful. And after that, we're on to Layercake. Enjoy. How to knit the linen stitch. I have a tiny little sample here in a color that's hopefully easy to see on camera. A couple of rows of stocking stitch and then a bunch of rows of linen stitch, as you can see. And hopefully you can already see the little flat lines of the yarn being carried on the front of the work. That's what a linen stitch is all about. You work a stitch and then you slip one, and when you slip a stitch you carry the yarn in front of the work, regardless of which side of the knitting you're on, whether you're knitting the front of your work or the back. As you can see, the back of the linen stitch creates a fabric with lots of little bumps, lots of little purl bumps, and the front is very smooth with all the carried yarn. So I've got an even number of stitches. That's the easiest way when you are knitting in the flat. Work with an even number of stitches. The first stitch is always worked and the last stitch is always slipped. So this is the front of the work, and just like with stocking stitch, on the front of the work you knit your rows. As you can see, this was a slipped stitch, the yarn carried in the front of the work. And now we're going to knit that stitch, but we're going to ignore the fact that the yarn is sticking out of the front of the work. We're going to knit it, which actually wraps the yarn around the edge of the knitting, which makes for a very neat edge. So it's knit one, bring yarn to the front, slip a stitch as if you're going to purl it, but don't purl it, just slip it, bring the yarn to the back, knit the next stitch, yarn to the front again, slip, yarn to the back, knit, yarn to the front, slip, yarn to the back, knit, yarn to the front, slip, yarn to the back, knit, yarn to the front, slip. So I finish with a slipped stitch and the yarn sticking out at the front, just like I had at the other side. Now we're going to turn the work around and we're going to start purling. We leave that yarn there, but because we want to purl, we want to bring our purling needle underneath the yarn so that we have it ready to purl, and see that the yarn is going to get basically wrapped around the edge of the work again. So we purl, bring the yarn to the back, slip, bring the yarn back to the front, purl, not around my left hand needle, just a regular purl stitch. The stiffness of this yarn is because I'm knitting with linen yarn, linen stitch, linen yarn. Yarn to the back, slip, yarn to the front, purl. Oh, nearly lost my yarn there. Yarn to the back, slip, yarn to the front, purl, yarn to the back, slip, yarn to the front, purl, yarn to the back, slip. See, this is my last stitch and I'm slipping again, so I'm finishing again with my yarn in front. So I've now worked these 2 rows and I have created a bunch more of the little flat lines of the yarn being carried in front of the work. So that's how you proceed. Of course, this fabric has a lot less stretch to it than when all the stitches were worked, and that's because of those more taut little slipped threads in front. And this is the ironically the stitch that I am using on the knitted version of the phone pouch. I'm about halfway through, so hopefully there'll finally be a pattern for it soon, but at least you have seen already how this stitch gets knitted. The other thing that you can see is that on the rows below, where I've got a little bit of stocking stitch, you can see that that has got a wider gauge. Linen stitch really shrinks your work down a little bit, so whenever you're going to work something in linen stitch, be aware that it'll be less stretchy. It's got very nice edges and it's a smaller gauge than the equivalent yarn on the same needles would give you if you were knitting a stocking stitch. Now, when knitting in the round, things are not really much different. You want to mark a clear start of your round because, of course, every time you get to the start of the round, you need to swap what you did before. So if I pretend that I'm knitting in the round and this is my start of round, then this yarn would not be sitting here. The yarn would be next to, oh, actually, I can do that by working a couple of stitches. So I did the same start again. I allowed my yarn to wrap around my work, and I do a couple of stitches of knitting and slipping. So imagine that this would be my start of round. I've worked all the way around. This is my next round, and the first stitch here was a slipped stitch. Of course, I want to start moving those slipped stitches along. So with that little line in front, I know it was a slipped stitch, and I can see that the next stitch was knitted. So instead of slipping this, I want to knit this stitch. Of course, I would have a start of round marker here. So I'm going to knit it, bring the yarn to the front, slip, bring the yarn back to the back, and knit again, etc., etc. So it is that easy when you are working in the round and you get to a point where you need to start your next round. You basically end up doing 2 stitches the same next to each other, or you can mark the round with 1 row of regular stitches without any slipped stitches, to ensure that you're never in a situation that you have to slip 2 stitches in a row and you may end up being worried about the fact that you then have a bigger gap or a bigger line of carried yarn in front. So of course I will give you a solution for that issue with the knitted phone pouch. But there we have it, linen stitch. Any questions? Please let me know. Hello everybody, here I am then with the baggies pre-order that we've got on at the moment, and I'm wearing a pair of fig baggies in the regular length, so that's why they are cropped on me, and especially for summer, of course, maybe you like the idea of a cropped length. I've got some of the colors in the cropped, in the regular length, and others in the full length, so I'll show you both, of course. And I'm wearing it here with a berry love tunic adorned with hair. So a berry love tunic in the size 1. Of course, we've just finished our pre-order of the tops, so tunics and love tops and shirts. Doesn't matter that you can't buy them anymore. It just means that we're in full-on production of them at the moment. So the run is running, and they've reverted back to their normal prices, but the pre-order of the baggies is live until the end of Monday, the 10th of April. If we run out of colors before the end of a pre-order, then of course they'll disappear, but if we don't run out of the fabric, then even after the closing of a pre-order, you'll still be able to order said colors in said designs. So the reason I'm showing these together is because, of course, the fig has a purple in them, and the berry is kind of a purplish color as well, with a lilac and a pink. The fig is a purple together with a dark gray. So together they go really well. They're both in that kind of berry corner of the color wheel. And I will show you hopefully lots of combinations with all the different designs that are on pre-order of the baggies. So bear with me if this is going to be a long one. I'll try to steam through them as best I can. And I'll start by adding one of the fig tulip dresses to this outfit to show more fig and the berry a little bit more in the background. Here goes. There it is. This is a tulip dress in a size 2 petite. So it is short and about knee length on me. And of course that goes really well with the cropped baggies. They don't all disappear underneath a longer dress, but it's a good combination. And what I'm trying to illustrate with this outfit is not just the combination of a petite dress with the cropped baggies, with the regular length baggies, and how they look together, but also how the fig is a really nice, calm, classic color. It doesn't scream. Yes, it's got a purplish hue to them, but it's almost like, because of the dark gray, it's almost like an aubergine, a dark aubergine. So it's a color without being too bright and colorful, if you like. So potentially a good basic to add to your collection, steering away from the dark blues and the dark grays and black potentially to have a color but a muted one. And for those of you, of course, who love muted colors, fig is a bit of a staple for you. So if I want to boost the purpleness in this outfit, then of course I could add another purple to it. And of course we've got a purple in the pre-order in the form of the Pansy Herringbone baggies. So I'm going to team that with this petite dress next, and those baggies are the long ones, so you see a little bit more of the purple underneath. Of course you could wear those cropped as well, but I leave that to your imagination. Here comes the pansy, and here it is. So I've got a purplish hue to this berry tunic. Of course there's the purple of the pansy baggies, and there's a hint of purple in my fig dress. Still, it's not like, oh my goodness, this is head to toe purple. It's all in that side of the color spectrum, but it's not just plain purple. And of course, that's what I try to do with all the colors in Layercake, that it hints in a certain direction or it plays with different colors in the cross weave, and you'll see more of that coming through in the rest of this episode. So here is a purplish outfit, the fig together worn with the pansy. And of course you could go in the other direction. You could have the fig baggies and then with the pansy joy jacket, for example. I'll grab the joy jacket just quickly to show you that with the rest of this outfit. Of course they go beautifully together, and again you can play with the different sides as to how dominant the purple is. Here it is. Putting the joy on over the top and just kind of wearing it open like this with the trousers, and then with the dress got a little peep of the love tunic there. Or I can turn the whole thing around, hide a lot more of the purple and only hint at it with the collar, and just wearing it open like this. Bit of purple coming out, but a lot more neutral with the help of my undyed linen. The undyed linen is going to come back later on in the whole lineup as well. But right now I'm going to keep going with the different colors and introduce a color that is darker on purpose. I'm always trying to come up with a whole selection of the different Layercake colors that you all know and love, to just show you how they go with the new colors and the new garments that I'm introducing. So I'm going to grab one of the wrap dresses. I thought I'd show it first together with the fig tula dress, and you know, I'm kind of wearing it like a coat here, the wrap dress, which I love. I love the swagger of this, especially when the weather starts getting better and I want a little extra layer, but I don't want a proper full coat. Then something like this works. And of course you can then tie it up loosely or just tie it up here in the front. But the reason that I wanted to show these two together is to give you an impression of how magpie and fig look when worn together. So you could imagine this wrap dress being worn with a pair of fig baggies. They'll still be really exciting colors together, but they're not necessarily bright. So I will lose the fig dress and I'll keep the baggies on. Mind you, you get a fair idea of how they look together. If I just do this, the purple baggies, the purple herringbone baggies with the wrap dress, and then this wouldn't necessarily have to be there. This could be a natural color love tunic or love top, for example, picking up on the natural that is in the baggies, or a magpie top, for example, would look great as well, or even black. So okay, I will change most of this outfit now to show the wrap dress with a different set. Okay, I'm already getting carried away in terms of playing with color as well as length. The things that I wanted to show you here are, I wasn't planning on wearing the berry love tunic. I was going to take that off, but then I saw what the berry love tunic and the blood orange do together, and how that then plays with the trousers, the purple pansy herringbone baggies that I've got on. Then I realized that actually I also still want to show you the wonderful combination of the magpie stripe with the blood orange dress. So for those of you who've already reached out and ordered a blood orange dress and who've got some magpie, guys, this is such a great combination. Any magpie with the blood orange, beautiful. Anyway, taking this off and now showing the rest of the outfit. I mean, look what happens with this tunic and then wearing that with the purple of the baggies just peeping out at the bottom. This ends up looking more purple than it did with the other outfit, just because of the baggies being there and the orangeness, the bright orangeness of the dress. Can you see how the outfit pulls together by having some purple there and having a purplish color up here as well? So, of course, these two guys have got a color in common, because there is the bright magenta pink that's in the berry together with a lilac, dark lilac, and this is the bright pink with an orange. So these two were always going to make sweet music together. They look great together. And then bringing in the bright purple of the pansy herringbone, kind of toned down with the natural in the herringbone weave, I think is a lovely combination together. So I'm going to keep going and add more colors and jazz this up even further, so you see what happens when I add more different colors. Here we go. Same love tunic, same dress, but I've got the magenta baggies on. So now all three garments have magenta in them. And as you can see, of course, they look great together. What I forgot to point out before, I said I like playing with the lengths as well. So this is actually a size 2 long dress, and then with the long baggies. And that's why you don't see that much of the baggies underneath. A lot of them is hidden by the dress, but you just see that edge peeping out at the bottom of the baggies and bringing that zing of color back in. So, of course, I can, rather than going in a more purple direction, of course, I can just repeat the bright of the magenta worn with the dress. So I will show you. Magenta all the way, and then blood orange over the top of it. Long dress still, so not too much magenta showing at the bottom, but you can see, and also you can see here that even though a size 1 tulip dress still fits me, by going up a little bit, I just make the whole thing a bit more baggy and a bit more loose and comfortable, which especially with a view on going into summer is lovely. I love having my clothes loose and wafty, as you know. So I could size down if I wanted to, but at the moment this suits me just fine. Now, in terms of the other sizing, actually I can take this off so you can also see what the magenta baggies do with the magenta love tunic as an outfit, top to bottom in magenta. Here we go. This love tunic is a size 1, even though the dress was a size 2. Now, one of the reasons that they go so easily together is, of course, that the armholes of the dresses are a little bit higher than that of the tunics. So that armhole comes up a little bit, making the whole area here a bit neater, which is why it didn't look like there was a size difference between them. And then, of course, that dolman sleeve shape of the tunic kind of fills up that space. So top to bottom in magenta. Let me add another bright color for you bright color lovers out there before we calm things down a little bit again. Here we go. Back in a petite tulip dress, but this time worn with a long baggy, so you see more baggy underneath rather than it being a bit more cropped, and still in the magenta. So if you say, well, I love the bright colors, but really does it have to be this bright top to toe? Of course not. So I'll start toning it down, and we've got more baggy colors coming up to show off with a less bright palette, but I'll start with changing the love tunic for a less bright color. Here is the same tulip dress in the cerulean color. I hadn't mentioned that name yet, but this is of course the bright blue cerulean, and I'm wearing it with the damson love tunic underneath, a slightly calmer blue than the bright cerulean, but it picks up in terms of color on the pink that is in my baggies, and you can't really see that because it just looks like a tealy blue from a distance, but up close you could see that the teal is accompanied by a beautiful pinky purpley color that of course tones very nicely with the magenta when you see them next to each other. However, very bright, and then the magenta, let's tone that magenta down a little bit and keep moving in the direction of the blues and greens of the color spectrum. Move on a little bit from the reds. Here we go. How different does this look? Just changing the baggies from the magenta to the chartreuse herringbone. Massive difference to the whole outfit. The blues make a different impression, and just the whole color impression of the entire outfit is very different. So of course the cerulean still very bright, so let's tone that one down a little bit as well and see what then happens. So this is a peacock smock worn with the damson love tunic and the cerulean herringbone baggies. Of course the peacock smock and the love tunic have a color in common, which is teal, and the yellowness of the chartreuse is picked up on very nicely by the fact that there's this bright grass green together with the teal in the peacock smock. So that freshness that the smock brings in is then being echoed by that really fresh color in the chartreuse herringbone. So chartreuse herringbone, I want to show that next to the chartreuse plain color before I keep going in the blue and teal atmosphere. So I'm just going to drop this love tunic and bring in the chartreuse love dress to show that against the chartreuse of the baggies. The chartreuse herringbone against the plain chartreuse. This is a petite love dress, and then the long baggies, so there's lots of chartreuse herringbone visible, and you can see that the colors really go together. They belong together, but they're not identical. That softness that the herringbone brings in, and just slightly softening the sharp green yellow that is the chartreuse. So I can further soften this, of course, by covering this up a little bit more without losing the chartreuse in the baggies. Let me show you. I've brought back the peacock smock for two reasons. First of all, that bright grassy green and then the teal beautifully go with chartreuse. It's a really nice color combination. But also to show you how these lengths compare. This is a size 2 smock, which is a little bit longer than the size 1 smock, and then it's a size 1 petite in the love dress, and you can see how similar these guys are in length. For more length information of the garments. You can always check the fit guide. Every product page has underneath the product description information about how the pre-orders and in-stock items work, but then the second tab is a fit guide that gives you specific information about garment sizes and how they go with each other and on bodies, of course. If you want to have a particular look to see how particular layer cakes stack together, if you like, just drop me a line and I can always mock them up either on myself or on one of the mannequins and send you a photograph of that. In fact, I just did that earlier on this afternoon with one of the foreign customers who subsequently placed an order because she was confident enough that she'd seen the colors worn together and really liked what she saw, and that was just what she wanted to do before sending stuff abroad, and then maybe thinking, actually, I thought that was going to go in theory, but in practice I don't like what it does together. And in fact, the combination that she had put together was a damson love tunic, a peacock smock, and then the new deep sea color for the baggies. In fact, why don't I put that combination together now? Because just like I was going on about the magenta in the different pinky colors, the three garments that I just mentioned have the teal in common, and of course it makes them sing together. They look wonderful. Here we go, and here it is. Deep sea, new color of baggies. A wonderful replacement for what we had as the dark teal. This is a softer and yet brighter at the same time somehow. And the black has disappeared from this cross weave, but it does have the teal in it. And then, of course, the peacock has the teal and the bright green, and damson has the teal and the pinky purpley color. And aren't they wonderful together? Of course, you can lose the smock, and here is the damson against the teal of the baggies. I think that's a really, really nice combination as well. And especially just looking down on it, you can see how as the color, the fabric of the damson moves in different folds, you can really see the teal jump out being picked up by the baggies. Great color combination. So let me keep going. I'm still in the blues, but I'm softening it, moving into some more neutral area, even with a color like this nice dark deep sea teal. It's possible to go more neutral. I'll show you how. Here are the deep sea baggies, the new deep sea baggies, worn with a love tunic in the blue stripe. Of course, this blue is not the same color as in the baggies, but because it's in the same kind of part of the color spectrum, they go really nicely together, and then bringing the neutral of the undyed linen in. So in terms of color around my face, it's all much calmer, but I'm still wearing a beautiful deep dark greeny blue color further away from my face. Great outfit for spring, bringing in lightness but still having that anchor of a dark color underneath. I'll keep going with, and of course there are a lot more other combinations like this that you can make, but I just wanted to give you one example of how to soften a bright color like that. So keep it going, like I said, bringing in more neutrals and showing you some more of the other baggies that I haven't shown you yet. Here's the first one. This is not actually a new color. This is a color that we had before. The steel herringbone, which is a combination of a charcoal gray with the natural neutral undyed linen. And the result is a shimmery silvery color almost. Quick silvery color. And this is one of the herringbones that we had before, but it was the first herringbone color of the previous batch that we ran out of. So I've reordered it and it's back in stock. This is the regular length, cropped as you can see, and worn with that blue stripe Love Tunic, which is a lovely combination. But one of the reasons that I've put on these baggies is to show it with another new color, which is our replacement for steel. You may have seen that when I introduced it with the tulip dresses that we recently introduced, and it's a color called Mist, and it is beautiful together with the steel herringbone. I'll show you now. Here is a Mist tulip dress, and Mist is woven as a flat weave, a cross weave of the same colors as the herringbone in steel. So Mist is that same charcoal gray with undyed linen, and steel is charcoal gray with undyed linen in a herringbone. The steel herringbone is. That softness that the charcoal brings in this cross weave compared to what was a cross weave of natural and black called steel is now called Mist. That softness, I really wanted to reflect that in the name. Now, in terms of lengths, I am now wearing a size 2 regular length tulip dress worn with the regular length baggies. So just like what happened when I was wearing the long baggies with the long dress, now having regular baggies with the regular dress, you just see that bottom bit of the baggies, that bottom pocket onwards, the color reflected. And I'm also wearing a Love top underneath in the undyed. So there's a slight color difference, of course, between these two, because this is dark gray and undyed, and this is just a flat weave undyed without any cross weave in it. But a beautiful neutral and very soft outfit, which you can then of course wear with lots of other colors if you want to brighten it up. And I also want to show you as an alternative, in that same Mist, I've got the herringbone baggies in the steel, but we also have baggies in the Mist color as part of the pre-order. Not everybody is into the herringbone, and as you can see, this is just coming off the rack, so it hasn't been ironed or anything, but you can see that it's more droopy and drapey and softer in its folds. The Mist is one of our heavier linens, so it's an altogether different kind of flow to the fabric. It falls heavier, it folds heavier, and it's a really good alternative to either go soft with the herringbone or a bit more sturdy with the heavier weave Mist. Here it comes. Same top half of the outfit. I've only exchanged the baggies, the herringbone baggies, for the Mist baggies, again in that regular length. And I will now swap out this dress and bring a little bit of color back into the outfit, just to show you what a wonderful kind of basic color, just lighter in the spectrum, but still a really nice basic classic color this Mist color is, either with or without the combination of the natural undyed linen. Here I am, pretty much back where I started, with that fig tulip dress in the petite length, but now combined with undyed Love top and the Mist baggies that is part of the pre-order. And I thought, you know, even though this is all much calmer, you can just then jazz that up. So I've come prepared. Here is one of my linen concoctions, the Stephen West mystery knit along that he did this past autumn, and that happens to be in colors that are just perfect, of course, to wear with the outfit that I've got on. I just spotted that. I thought, oh, actually I can bring that in, because the colors in here are the charcoal that is in the cross weave of the baggies, as well as the cross weave of the fig. So it's this charcoal, then the purple that makes up the purple of the dress, and the undyed linen. So it's actually contained of all these three colors brought together: undyed, charcoal, and the purple. to bring those colors in their kind of unblended state at the top of the outfit, bringing everything together and bringing this episode to a close. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope I've inspired you, and I'll see you again soon.